Hey y'all, good to be here. I'm Adam Smith. I think I helped kick you off on a recording to kick off your school year. Former TRIO director, Upward Bound director, as well as a TRIO eligible student. So really appreciate that you all are here on a Saturday morning. Know it's cold. Know that you all are sitting in a virtual world that is crazy, right? This new normal is nuts for us. Know that Minnesota is locking down even more. So although that may be a little scary, it's even more scary in places like Tennessee where people are just doing whatever they want, right? So it's a tough time. So I really appreciate y'all taking the time and appreciate Robert and Lauren and the rest of the team for making time. What we're gonna do is gonna be a 3-part workshop, really casual. Y'all see my cat back here, so she's real casual, MJ. We're gonna talk today, but it's 3 parts. So we're gonna do a part here in November, then we're gonna do another part in December and regroup again, and then one in January. This first one really is gonna talk about this season that we're in, right? This season that has been really tough, really challenging. I think what's happened when people are stuck in their homes and feeling powerless, they tend to lash out at each other. So it's really a hard time with a lot of divisiveness and things on either side. So we're just going to talk a little bit about listening and making space for people and allowing people some time. So excuse my technological challenges. I'm sure we'll have some today, but if they can have them on CNN, and they had them on ESPN game day this morning. So we'll have some here. So the first thing is I want to do is give us all a chance to kind of ground ourselves. So knowing that whatever's going on in your life, in your school life, in your family life, that this space, when we're together as TRIO family, that this space is judgment-free. It's a space that you can feel safe to be yourself, express your feelings, express your fears, know that we all have them, whether you're pro staff and you're an old guy like me, or you're a high school student. None of us know, guys, okay? So just know that. If any adult tells you, oh, this is what's gonna happen, they're not telling you the truth. None of us know. And the one thing to be mindful of, and one of my students said this really well, one of my students at the University of Alabama, that he's had to remind himself that you all are the first group of students in high school to ever go through this, that they will be writing about this time in American history, in world history, in history books. Your grandkids will ask you, so what happened in 2020? And you'll say, you know, I was in high school and this happened and we all were at home and people started wearing masks and, you know, all of the stuff that happened, whether it's the civil unrest as a result of George Floyd's murder or a crazy election season that we may be done with, right? Or it's a coronavirus, it's all been amplified. So reminding yourself that this is a historical time. And you happen to be in high school during this historical time, and your kids and grandkids will be asking you about it. He also said, and I'll give him credit, his name is Luke. Luke also said that he's had to learn to get comfortable with him. I've had to learn to get comfortable with myself, in being with myself. And so we're gonna do a quick little grounding exercise. So if everybody can make sure they have their feet on the ground. I'm sure you've done this before, but it's a really good way to start and lead into our workshop today and the rest of the work that you're gonna do with your Upward Bound family today. So make sure you have your feet on the ground. First thing is breathe and think about the 5 things that you see around you. So take some deep breaths and breathe about and think about what 5 things that you can see. So it can be a pen, it can be my cat, it can be something on your wall, but think about 5 things that you see. And then breathe in and breathe out and think about 4 things that you can touch. What 4 things can you touch that are around you right now? Whether it's your feet on the floor, your hands on the desk, the inside of your sweatshirt, 4 things that you can touch. Then breathe in and think about what are the 3 things you can hear? I can hear the fan in my background. What else can you hear? What 3 things can you hear? Breathe in and breathe out. What are the 2 things that you can smell? My wife made the grandkids waffles, so I can smell waffles. What can you smell? What are the 2 things you can smell? And then think about what is the 1 thing you can taste, whether it's part of your breakfast, your coffee, your toothpaste. What is the 1 thing you can taste? Now what we're going to do is, as you are going through and as you're facing those anxious moments in this season, remind yourself, okay? Keep in your mind the mantra of, I am the only high school junior class. I'm the only high school sophomore class, high school senior class. I am the only high school freshman class ever to go through this. And they are going to be writing about this in history books. As you can tell, I'm a Viking fan, so behind me are my Vikes. You are like CJ Ham. So you are the fullback. And so because you are the first, you get hit the hardest. And you don't get a lot of credit, but nobody has experienced this before. And then as you're getting anxious in different times, think about just taking a breath and thinking about what are the 5 things that I can see? What are the 4 things that I can touch? What are the 3 things that I can hear? The 2 things I can smell, and the 1 thing that I can taste. And just that helps reduce, for me, it helps reduce some of my anxiety in those times that I feel out of control, because that's really where anxiety comes. Okay, so everybody is sitting in front of their computers, their phones, something, yes? Everybody nod, students, tell me. Jonathan, come on, bro, I see you.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Kristen, everybody's in front of a computer. So what we're gonna do is, to help get us started, I want you to think about, before you do anything, I want you to think about the song that exemplifies how you feel in this moment, right now, today, how you're feeling, your outlook about yourself, your dreams, your goals, the world, what happened yesterday, what's going to happen later today. What is the song that best exemplifies that? Okay. So everybody is going to think about that song now that you've grounded yourself. What is that song? Then I want you to go to YouTube and grab the link to that song and put it in the chat. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to play my song first. And then as you all throw your songs in chat, we're going to play yours. And we're going to use this time as a chance to not only ground ourselves, but connect ourselves in our spirit and how we're feeling, our wishes, our goals, our dreams, our realities, okay? So you're going to find your song. You're going to put it in the chat, okay? And we're going to start with my song, okay? And then we'll create our own little playlist this morning of Upward Bound at Cambridge and Upward Bound in Coon Rapids at Anoka Ramsey, okay? So throw your songs in the chat. Here comes mine. Y'all can groove to Bill Withers.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind.
When school isn't a place you have to be,
Then I look at you,
why not go to school where remote learning can be as remote as you
and the
want?
world's alright with me. Just one look at
merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move
Read through
mountains.
everybody's songs.
We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I rise like the day. I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise.
Feel like doing anything. I just wanna lay in my bed.
Yes, for sure.
Don't feel like picking up my phone, so leave a message at the tone. 'Cause today I swear I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna kick my feet up, then stare at the fan. Turn the TV on, throw my hand in my pants. Nobody's gonna tell.
I wonder if I'm being real. Do I speak my truth or do I filter how I feel? I wonder, wouldn't it be nice to live inside a world that isn't black and white? I wonder what it's like to be my friends. Hope that they don't think I'll forget about them. I wonder.
Hey Mom, what are you up to?
Putting up the tree.
We haven't decorated the house yet. I just wanted to make our first.
Close my eyes, the only thing that's on my mind. Been dreaming that you feel it too. I wonder what it's.
Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? But watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer.
Past the infatuation phase, we're right in the thick of love. At times we get sick of love. It seems like we argue every day. I know I misbehaved and you've made your mistakes, and we both
Read
still
through
got
everybody's
room left to
songs.
grow.
It connects
And
us,
though
right?
love
So one of the
sometimes
challenges
hurts,
right
I
now is
still
people don't
choose
feel
first,
connected
and
to
we'll
each other.
make
This
this
is a
thing
great
work,
chance
but
to
I
connect
think
to
we
each
should
other
take
via
it
music,
slow.
via our
We're
breath.
just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go, 'cause we're ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, oh. This time we'll take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, oh.
Summer hue.
Yeah, this is my record right here now.
Gloomy skies, sweet goodbyes. Late at night, I think about you, and I wonder, do you think about me too? And I wonder, do you feel the things I do? Or is it just me now? Or is it just me now? 'Cause I can't see clear now. No, I can't see clear now. And I need you here now. I don't need to know how. You feel the emptiness I feel inside. Oh, you make me.
Love it. Love it. Everybody give each other some snaps. Snaps. Y'all aren't snapping. Casey Cooper, I see you, sis. Okay, thank you. You better snap now. Okay? Y'all are tired. I'm old. Okay? Excellent job, right? So feel that connection with each other. We have to find new ways to connect with each other. Music is a great way, right? That allowed us all to groove and all to recognize that everybody's feelings, the song that exemplified how you were feeling. The cool thing is everybody has their own song. Everybody has their own feeling. And your song may change in 2 hours, right? You may be saying, shoot, 2 hours from now, I'm feeling a little bit different, right? I'm feeling more Rihanna in 2 hours. But right now, this was how you were feeling. And that's valid and that's important. And that should be respected because everybody's song was important, right? And it connected each of us not only to our song to say, okay, this is how I feel right now, but to each other. And finding those opportunities is really important. So we have a couple goals for today. One of the things we want to do is listen to each other with openness, okay? We want to listen for things we agree with and not only focus on the things that we don't, right? My dad is a former alcoholic, well, recovering alcoholic. And one of the things that AA teaches us is to take the good and leave the bad. So much in our society right now, we're looking for the bad, right? Oh, what I don't agree with Nancy, right? Well, Nancy and I don't agree on this, so then I can't rock with Nancy. She can't be my homie, right? But in the end, Nancy and I have all these things that we vibe on. So that's really important that we take the good and we leave the bad. So looking for the things that you agree with, as well as those you could challenge, but more importantly, focusing on the things you learned, because we're all here anyway today. Not all of us can get a prize from Ms. Lauren. So the best prize that we can get is being here with each other. And it's up to you to put something in your backpack today, all of us, that we got good. Listen with curiosity. Okay, so, we're trying to prepare to be college students. You TRIO students, just like me, nobody in my family been to college. So the biggest key in being a lifelong learner, a college student, is rather than finding the things that you disagree with what the professor said, get the stuff you do agree with. Because in the end, you're paying the professor either way, right? So how can I grow, okay? And then also don't judge other people. Listen without judging folks. So the ground rules are, please be ready to share. This is not gonna be an Adam talk, okay? I did that already once with y'all. Listen for people's intention. So what are they really saying, right? We know each other's heart. No one would be here this morning if we didn't care about each other. We didn't care about going to college. We didn't want to be successful. So understand people's intention rather than how it hits. Maybe how they said it was different. Maybe how you heard it was different. Work hard to try to understand and then have other people understand you. And then, like we said before, make space for people. People have some really valid feelings right now. Give them space and you be willing to assert and say, no, this is how I'm feeling. Know that all of us right now are caring people. We all love and care about each other, but we're also carrying some stuff, okay? Everybody give me a thumbs up if you're carrying some stuff. Who got some stuff? Shoot, okay, I got a whole bunch of stuff. So we're all carrying stuff, okay? And carrying that stuff also comes with us in this space, okay? And bottom line is, stuff isn't your personal fault, but it's okay to say, I'm sorry, right? Someone said to me the other day, well, why do you say you're sorry for that? Well, the first thing when somebody has a family member that passes away, right? What is the first thing you say, Emma Anderson, when somebody says, so-and-so in my family is sick? What do you say? Emma, take yourself off mute. What do you say?
I don't know what I would say.
If somebody says, my grandma passed away, what do you say to them? What's your response?
Well, you say that you're sorry to hear that, but
right. But you didn't do anything to their grandmother, right? But it's okay to be sorry, even though you didn't do it, right? Yes?
Yeah.
I feel bad that happened to you. That sucks, bro, right? That's real, right? Okay, so we want to make sure that we do that. So we're really going to focus on listening and the difference between listening and hearing. So listening, right, to hear, it really takes no effort. We talked about that earlier. What are the three things you can hear around you? You can hear the fan, you can hear your family playing, you can hear the TV in the background. It's just something coming in your brain. That's hearing, right? And listening is making a decision to deliberately pay attention, to focus on what the person is saying, okay? Trying to understand what they're saying and validate what they're saying. So that's the difference between when your parents say, "Are you listening to me?" And we always say, my wife says all the time, "Are you listening?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm listening." But 9 times out of 10, I wasn't listening, I was hearing. Y'all feel me? Okay. Okay. So we're going to have Sheldon. Y'all may know Sheldon. We're going to have Sheldon illustrate the difference between listening and hearing.
First, there was PlayStation, aka PS1. Then there's PS2, PS3, and now PS4. And that makes sense. You'd think after Xbox, there'd be Xbox 2. But no. Next came Xbox 360. And now, after 360, comes Xbox One. Why one? Maybe that's how many seconds of thought they put into naming it.
Can you get the butter, please?
However, with the Xbox One, I can control my entire entertainment system using voice commands. Up until now, I've had to use Leonard.
Then get the other one. Pass the butter.
Hang on. I don't feel like you're taking this dilemma seriously.
Fine, Sheldon. You have my undivided attention.
Okay, now, the PS4 is more angular and sleek looking.
No way!
It's true, but the larger size of the Xbox One may keep it from overheating.
You wouldn't want your gaming system to overheat?
No, you absolutely would not. And furthermore, the Xbox One now comes with a Kinect included.
Included?
Yes! Not sold separately. Although the PS4 uses cool new GDDR5 RAM, while the Xbox One is still using the conventional DDR3 memory.
Why would they still be using DDR3? Are they nuts?
See, that's what I thought. But then they go and throw in an ES RAM buffer.
Whoa, wait a second. Who's they?
The Xbox.
You're kidding!
No, I am not. And this ES RAM buffer should totally bridge the 100 gigabit per second bandwidth gap between the two RAM types.
This is a nightmare. How will you ever make a decision?
See, I don't know. What should I do?
Please pass the butter!
So how did Sheldon react when he felt heard? How was that different, right? So when he felt heard by her, how did he react differently? Somebody want to take themselves off mute and answer that? Because I'll call on you, Ryan, while you're eating cereal.
He was much more excited and he felt like a connection with her.
Exactly. So he felt heard, right? Whether she was being random and just joking, right, pretending to hear or not, he, as a human being, he felt heard. He felt a connection with her. He felt validated. He felt that she cared about what he was saying, even though she didn't. She was just playing him. She wanted the butter, right? But she felt heard, where the first time I was like, yeah, right? I'm just hearing you, but I'm not listening to you. Those are the very differences, right, that we're talking about. So we're going to split off into groups, but I'm going to show you a video first that's going to be the foundation of your first group discussion, okay? And it's about agreeing to disagree. So it's being from Minnesota, born and raised. You cut open my arm and there's purple blood comes out. Doesn't matter if the Vikings win or lose, just like my kids lose sometimes, I still love the Vikings because they're family. And I would never wear green a day in my life. Even when my Packer friends tell me that the Packers are better than the Vikings, and I say, but they don't look better. Just saying, right? So either way that you tend to go with the Packers-Vikings debate, you would never live in Minnesota and be a Packer fan. But Some people do, some people just have issues. But so this is the video that's going to serve as the beginning of your discussion in your groups. Okay, so take a look at the video.
Yeah, Carla, when you come across a fan who cheers for the other team on the street or in a stadium, it's easy to just ignore them and walk the other way. But when you both live under the same roof like these families do, there's no escape. It's a border battle every day at home that only gets worse on nights like this. Has there ever been a moment where it's crossed the line?
I'm probably the one that's more likely to cross the line because I get a little more unhinged.
It takes a lot of self-control.
They say love is a two-way street, a dance of give and take. But when you're on two opposite sides of a football rivalry like Caitlin Scanlon and Sam Bauman are...
we have a Super Bowl.
We've been to a lot of Super Bowls.
There's no compromise. You see your side and no one else's.
He really does love them, as misguided as it is. It's, how he feels, and I respect that.
The same argument is being made all over Minnesota and Wisconsin this week, from what color clothes to put the baby in to what kind of Christmas wreath to put out this year. Some are even willing to stand up against the entire family to support the team they love, even when you're visiting your girlfriend's family for the first time in the heart of Packer country.
Yeah, only one cursed me for my Vikings gear. To my face.
Right, yeah, there was more behind your back.
But as awkward as that was for Sam and Caitlin, this will be their biggest test yet. Going to their first game together and still being together after it's over.
This family vacation might hinge on how well tonight goes.
They might have a shot of making it work. This year, both teams are already in the playoffs. So win or lose, both teams will live to fight another day.
It's just a game.
Until the playoffs.
Then it's more important, yeah.
Needless to say, there was a lot.
Okay, so that's your video. Robert is going to split y'all. Let's do 5 minutes per group in the groups, Robert. So these are the questions that you are going to discuss. So we're going to do it for 5 minutes. So I want you to make sure that you have somebody who is writing some stuff down in your groups. I want you to make sure that you have somebody who's going to speak for your group too, okay? Because you're going to be asked to give your opinions. So were the views of the speakers, okay, in the interview about the Packers-Vikings rivalry, were their views valid, either side, okay? What did the speakers say? What were the words that you not only heard, but listened to, okay? Did the people agree with each other? Was there ever any points of agreement or things that they agreed on? What were the consequences on them or on others for the things they disagreed in? And, where y'all live, you see this all the time, but if you ever witnessed situations like this, doesn't have to be Packers, Vikings. I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama and worked at Alabama. So Roll Tide, War Eagle is a whole thing that's crazy, right? And can they go too far? Okay. And how do you handle them? So a situation like this, and have you ever seen it go too far, and what would you do if that happened? Does that make sense? I'm going to put the questions in the chat so you have them.
Okay? I took a picture of it, so hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you have to open it, but you can put them in the chat. It might be easier.
Yeah, it might be easier. We'll throw them in the chat and just see if that works too. I'll throw them in the chat for you guys, and then you can go into your groups now. Robert's going to split you off into groups, and we'll give you a chance, give you 5 minutes to answer these questions, and then you're going to report back. Sound good? Okay, everybody's back.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So let's start with group number 1, and we'll just go through and give everybody a chance to kind of share their first one. So we have 14 groups, so we won't get everybody for every question, but group number 1, you should have your spokesperson. So take yourself off mute. And
I was in group number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
They didn't get a chance to discuss it all. They couldn't see the questions. So
oh, okay.
We might have to skip.
Anybody from group number one, okay? Whoever wants to represent group number one, do you think, you personally, even though you didn't get a chance to discuss the questions, do you feel like the views of the speakers in the interview were valid? Who is in group one?
I was in group number one. I think the views of the speakers were definitely valid. They both can have their own opinion on football however they want. And
Okay.
that's good for them.
Awesome. Awesome. Other question. First name again, I'm sorry.
Jody.
Jody, can you also tell us, do you think that they ever agreed, the people that were being interviewed? Or did they have anything they agreed about?
They both agreed that it was just a game, but then it flipped to accepting playoffs.
Except the playoffs, right, right. Thank you, Jody. All right, group number two. Did group number two, who's the spokesperson for group two? Somebody want to take themselves off mute on group two? What about group three?
I can talk for group three. I was in group three. My group was awesome. Which question do you want me to answer?
What are the consequences of their disagreement on them and on others?
So my group kind of, this was actually a harder question for my group, but the students in my group talked about how sometimes the disagreements can lead to like bonds breaking or them not being able to compromise, and then therefore like not being able to be like empathetic, and therefore like maybe a friendship is ruined, or one of my students had said like a marriage falling apart because they have a hard time seeing or like talking through the disagreement. And so we kind of brought up that listening versus hearing thing, where sometimes when you have a different opinion and you might be really passionate, it is sometimes hard to listen because you're hearing, but you're so passionate about maybe what you are feeling or what your opinion is, that it sometimes is hard to compromise or see from the other side.
Casey, that's really good. So has anybody ever seen a Packer fan become a Viking fan or a Viking fan become a Packer fan? I mean, do people switch like that? There was a lady that was on YouTube that I saw in a video that she was raised a Packer fan, and then she married a guy who was a Viking fan, and she changed. I don't know how that happens, that you're really a Packer fan, that you would become a Viking fan, because we don't want you. But I mean, I get it, but that seems to be really odd. What about group 12? Who's the spokesperson for group 12?
That's me.
Okay, who's me?
Albert.
Albert. All right, Albert. So have you ever witnessed situations of disagreement like this? And can you guys talk about some of the things that you've witnessed in the past related to fandom and these types of disagreements?
Like them disagreeing or them switching over, or?
Disagreements like you saw in the video, people who root for other teams or have differences of opinion, those kind of things.
Yeah, like people that like PlayStation, Xbox, or iPhone and Samsung, or anything close to that. See it all the time online.
Okay. So that's a good one, right? Android and iPhone, right? You have those people that are iPhone people and those people who are Samsung people. And very few people go over to the other team, right? People believe in their device, right? What about group 8? Do we have group 8? Who's the spokesperson for group 8? Okay, how about group 10?
That was me.
Okay, who is me?
Emma.
Okay, Emma. So Emma, can you tell us an example of situations like this you've seen before or your group has seen before? And when have you ever seen, or people in your group see these types of disagreements go too far?
Well, I had talked about how like even just in the stadium, like physical fights will break out. So some people do think, or some people do take it too far, and disagreement happens on all topics, really, like politics, different things.
So what could be the consequences of just the people you saw in the video? So you saw the one couple, you saw people's kids, you saw families where half of the family was dressed in purple, the other half or one or two were dressed in green. What are some of the consequences of the disagreement on both groups though?
Well,
consequences?
We have some family that also don't have like the same football whatever. And like we just like poke fun at each other. So consequences, you could just be made fun of.
Right, right. Are there any times that those consequences, a person could feel isolated though? A person could feel not connected? Or like you said, people go too far?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the possibility, but it's never happened like in my family, and in the video, it didn't look like anyone took it too far except for that one guy said that his like girlfriend's family like cussed him out or something. So like that was a little too far.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Okay, great job, y'all. Great feedback. Vikings, Packers, Gophers, Badgers, right? Alabama, Auburn. You know, all of these things are things that we take seriously, I think. And people have really, really strong opinions. I was born a Viking fan. I would never not be a Viking fan. I don't care if the Packers got 50 Super Bowls. It doesn't matter to me. I am never going to not. Someone said, who's your second team? I said, the Vikings. Well, who's your number two if the Vikings aren't doing well? There is no number two. I'm a Viking fan. That is all there is to me, right? And those opinions and ideas and values they really hold true. We're born that way. It's very rare that your parents are something different. My grandkids are Viking fans. My daughters are Viking fans. They've had Viking jerseys and stuff from the time they were born, right? That's just what we do. And it's the same way with the Packers. And I think at some point we learn to realize that that is just stuff though. And like someone mentioned where people are getting in fights and all of that. I used to get really depressed when the Vikings lost. I mean, when they lost and they were supposed to make it to the Super Bowl and it was wide left Gary Anderson, I was depressed for weeks. I mean, just crazy. And it had nothing to do with like my real life. So we're going to show another video and give you guys another chance to talk about listening and hearing, but we're going to do it in a different video description. So does anybody know who this is? Put in the chat if you know who this is. Students, you do not know who this is? Advisors, put in the chat if you know who this is. There's somebody. Ah, Gabriel, Joe Mama. It is Joe Mama, you're right. Joe Biden. No, that's not Joe Biden. Okay, that's John McCain. So John McCain was an active duty military guy who was in Vietnam, who was captured. His plane got shot down in Vietnam. He spent, I think it's 3 years, crazily, as a prisoner of war. He broke both legs, both arms when his plane went down. He was in a POW camp for 3 years. I don't know the amount of time. I think it's 3 years. And when he came back, he became a senator of Arizona and was a famous, patriot, work across the aisle. Him and Joe Biden were really good friends. He passed away recently. He ran for president in 2008 against Barack Obama. So he was the Republican nominee in the presidential election in 2008 against Barack Obama. John McCain is a true American hero. Doesn't matter your political affiliation. I mean, I'm not getting shot down of an airplane and sitting in a POW camp for 3-4 years when my arms and my legs don't work. He still couldn't raise his arms above here. So you'll see in the video him talking. and you'll see how his arms are not the same because of it. Can everybody see this? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, good, Nancy. So this is the next discussion video that you're going to see. So John McCain we'll set it up. This is October of 2008. So the election was November, so less than a month away. And so he is at what's called the town hall, talking to potential supporters on CNN about the race and getting so people were getting the mic. This was not coronavirus. Some of y'all were probably 5 years old in 2008. But he's walking around, handing the mic to people and taking their questions on how they feel about the election. And so there are two people that come up and make statements and have questions for them. See what John McCain does. See if he hears them, one. Two, see if he listens to them, right? So if he listens and if he hears and what he does, because you're going to discuss it in your groups.
The video is loading. It's still on the slide of John.
You can't see it?
No, it just shows that your mouse is loading.
It is only John McCain.
Okay, do you see the video now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, we got it.
All right. I'm gonna get y'all. Okay, hold on. So you were just looking at me being awkward. Okay, here we go. Tell me thumbs up if you can hear it, Mackenzie, okay? I'm looking at you, sis.
I don't think it has sound.
Yeah, no.
What the heck? Okay. All right. Again. All right, I promise this time. Mackenzie, I'm watching you again.
We're scared. We're scared of.
I can hear it.
And I'll tell you why. I'm concerned about someone that cohorts with domestic terrorists such as Ayers.
I have to tell you, he is a decent person and a person that you do not have to be scared as President of the United States. Now, look, I
got to ask you a question. I do not I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not.
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about. He's not. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we finally got my tech difficulties fixed. All right, so we are going to go back to our groups. Mr. Robert, who's become a group king, will get y'all in there. So here are we're gonna give you a little more time this time. So we're gonna give you 7 minutes because it's a little deeper. So were the views of the speakers, again, were the views of the speakers valid? Okay. What did they say? Why was it important that McCain responded the way he did? Did he hear them and what they said, or did he listen to them? Okay. What were some of the potential things that could have happened if he didn't stop it? If he didn't say, that's not a good look, right? No, ma'am. Respectfully, right? Have you ever witnessed something like this? When people disagree or when people say something where someone does what John McCain did, or when people express views that are, hey, I've heard that this person is a terrorist, or is a Muslim, or is a this, or is a that, right? How does that situation that you've seen differ from what John McCain did? Okay. All right. And how does this situation differ? Because again, it's disagreement, y'all, right? I mean, this is another point where people are disagreeing. How does this differ from the first situation, the Packers-Vikings situation? Okay, we're gonna put the questions in the chat. Hopefully you'll have them again. I'm gonna do my best to put them in the chat for you. And then Robert is gonna split you into groups, and then you're gonna come back and share again your answers to these questions. We'll try to call on folks that didn't get a chance. Robert, can you give them like 7 minutes?
Yep, here we go.
Going to go to our questions, and we'll start with group 6. Okay, so who's the spokesperson for group 6? Can you take yourself off mute?
Hi.
All right, Miss Nancy, what's up, lady?
Do I answer question 1?
Okay, question 1. Were the views of the 2 speakers valid?
Me and my group kind of talked about how, like, well, for me, I was kind of biased. So I was like, yeah, it's valid, but also she had no reason to say that, saying how he was like an error or whatever, because it's also like, you only see what he presents. But even when when people presented Barack Obama, it was like, it was good. So it's like, yes, what she said was valid, but also she didn't really have like exact reason to say it, or like she didn't explain herself.
Great, 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 great. Group 4, who's the spokesperson for group 4?
I can be.
Okay, who's that?
Liliana, I am under Jackson.
I see you, Liliana. Okay, Liliana, so how did John McCain respond, and why was it important? Why did your group think it was important that he responded in the way that he did? And did he listen or did he hear?
He responded in a way that made them feel like he cared about their concerns and their views. And it seemed kind of like he was only hearing, because he gave a pretty similar response to everyone. But he did seem like he cared.
Good, 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 good. What about group 11?
That would be me,
Who is me?
Ariana.
Okay, Ariana. So what did your group talk about? What could have happened if McCain didn't say something?
So if he didn't really say anything or defended Obama in any way, I feel like the audience would have like even more of a negative opinion about Obama, because, you know, they clearly had their opinions and they weren't good. So if there wasn't anybody there to be like, hey, no, Obama's like a good guy, they would have just been like, okay, well, he's obviously not, and all these rumors or whatever are true.
Have you ever like recently seen situations like this, and how did they differ from the way John McCain reacted? Have you seen people react like him? Have you seen people react differently?
So we discussed like the Trump and Biden debates and how they weren't really informative at all. It was just Trump and Biden going off at each other and insulting each other. There was like there really wasn't any point to it at all.
It's really good. So I think one of the things, and we were talking, Robert and Lauren and I were talking about, because this feels like yesterday to old people like us, right? This was 2008. We understand you were 2 or 3 years old, right? But to us, this was like yesterday. But this was the beginning of a lot of the rhetoric that's right now. People like John McCain, who stood up and said, you know what? Now, yeah, there was a lot of people who pushed back and said, we're mad at John McCain, because John McCain said, well, Barack Obama's a really fine man, as if being a Muslim or an Arab is not a really fine person. Oh, he's a good American. But John McCain stopped it, right? He listened to what they were saying. He heard them. I think they felt heard, but he also thought about what would happen if I just let that go on, right? If I let, as a hero that cares about my country, if I just let this be out there and I don't stand up and say, no, that's not all right, ma'am. And the lady, the second lady, is really the interesting part, because she says, oh, he's not? That's really cool, right? For her, for someone she respects, to cut her off, to hear her, to listen to her, but then to say, you know what, no. We aren't gonna go there. He and I disagree about policies, but he's a good American, he's a good man, blah, blah, blah. So it's this balancing act that we all have, right? People have a right to their own opinion. Nancy, are you still there?
Yes.
So Nancy, do you think people have a right to their own opinion? Like in this case, do those people have a right to those opinions? What do you think?
I think they can say what they want to say. I just don't necessarily agree with what she said. So it's like, you can say what you say, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Or people will agree.
Well, and just like we were talking about, I don't know who said it about Vikings Packers, right? You're not going to change a Packer fan or a Vikings fan mind. You're not, I'm not going to switch. Packer fans aren't going to switch. But, and you have a right to cheer for who you want. You know, if you want to wear ugly green and yellow, that's your business, right? But when those rights can do harm to other people, right? When you're fighting at the stadium and it's breaking up your marriage, right? That's when those rights change, right? The important thing is that you all, that all of us respect others' rights in this country, right? We do have something called the First Amendment that gives people rights to disagree and protest and voice their concerns, whether it's about the government or about each other. However, it's important also that people on the other side, rather than just saying you have a right to your own opinion, saying, you know what, just like John McCain, who's an American hero, said, there could be consequences to our country, to you in saying this, that could hurt our country if I don't act. And so ACT to me stands for actively listening. So he heard them, somebody said, yeah, they felt heard. They felt he listened to them, he nodded, he said, yeah, I hear what you're saying, right? But then he also, and he was willing as a brave hero, braver than me, was willing to stand out when other people, because when he disagreed, his own people in the crowd were booing, right? So he stood out there alone, brave, right? And said, no, he didn't have a coalition around him. But it's important when somebody is actively listening and for you to be a coalition for others and say, no, that isn't cool. You know, I'm with Senator McCain. That's not right to say that. And then also to have some tolerance, right? To tolerate and give each other space to process, because we don't know, like we said in the beginning, the burdens, the things that people are carrying, right? So there's this thing called the bystander effect, right? Y'all have seen a bunch of camera phone videos that somebody is shooting those, right? And it's almost, it reminds me in the Christian Bible of the Good Samaritan, right? You're looking for somebody else to come by and stop it. And the rest of us, in being bystanders and being silent, it sometimes is seen, there's one or two people, it's seen as approving. And if McCain wouldn't have said anything, he would have been approving of those thoughts about President Obama. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't have anything to do with the conversation, right? The conversation should be, okay, I don't disagree. I disagree with him on these policies, rather than him being an Arab and that being scary, or him being a Muslim and that being scary, right? And so we have to work in not being bystanders. And it also allows us to prop each other up like we did with the music and support each other. Because the reality is there's many more people who think, well, yeah, you have a right to believe that and think that, but I also have a right to say, bro, that's not cool, that's hurtful, that's not being tolerant, that's not loving people, right? To say those things. So there's a great quote that I'm gonna leave y'all with for today, and we're gonna come back in a couple of weeks. But this quote by Norman Niemöller is, or Martin Niemöller, I apologize. He was in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And I would like, Emma, are you still there?
Yes.
Can you read this for me? You see it?
Yeah, I just have to minimize all the people. Okay.
Okay.
First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
So Emma, what does that mean to you? So this is a man who was in Germany, who reflected on, I didn't say anything when the Nazis didn't come for me because I wasn't this group, this group, this group, this group. And in the end, I was the only, when I was left, there wasn't anybody left. You know, I was a bystander. How does that make you feel compared to what we talked about today, based on what we talked about?
Well, he should have spoke up for others. Like, you have to care for more people than just yourself. Like,
Really good. And it's really important to know when people are entitled to their own opinions, they have a right. They have a right to think and believe whatever they want. Just like you have a right to say, you know what, that's not cool, right? Because people see silence as betrayal, silence as agreement, silence as yes and amen, right? I agree with what you're saying, even though you may not. And it takes brave people. I'm not John McCain. I am not even close to that. It takes brave people to say, you know what, you have a right to believe that way, but I'm gonna let everybody else know. You know, I was an old college football coach, and we had a philosophy that if you did something foolish, we would point it out in front of the rest of the team so that they would know foolishness isn't okay, right? And so that's really important. And so that's the challenge I give you between now and the next time we meet, is looking for those points of agreement with people, taking the good, leaving the bad, giving people space to disagree, but then also working on that balancing act, like Simone Biles, of when is it time for me to speak out and speak up and to act, right? And to say something and to say that's not cool. Because it could have disastrous effects, whether it be a riot at the football game, a fight between Viking and Packer fans, or it could be worse stuff on our country where people feel not connected and not loved and not heard. Thank you all so much for your time today. I look forward to connecting in a couple weeks. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and enjoy Thanksgiving, however Thanksgiving will be for you and your family.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank
See
you.
y'all soon.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
good to see you guys. We'll see you soon. Appreciate y'all.
That was
Bye-bye.
great. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
All right, bye guys. Appreciate you.
Bye, Janae.